What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video going over Week 8's Thursday Night Showdown on DraftKings. Normally, I have a spreadsheet and we have a FanDuel comparison, but our website has now launched, so if you guys are interested in getting the FanDuel portion as well as my DraftKings top plays and values, check it out. The link for our website is in the description, where you could find a very cheap subscription package for what we offer. So if you guys are interested in that, check that out. But let's go over the game, right? So high total in this one, Vikings still favorited. This is a tough slate, right? So you have Justin Jefferson almost 12K, 11.8, Cooper Kupp back at 11K. So already there, if you're playing on DraftKings and you don't captain either of these guys, you're spending almost, half your salary on these two guys alone. So finding the right values is going to be crucial tonight, or tomorrow night, sorry. So the interesting thing about going either side, right, is Vikings, the number one defense in pressure, huge in sacks. The Rams, their defense as of late, if you've looked the last few games, they haven't allowed a lot of passing yards. Rushing yards they have, but scores, like, it's not crazy, right? So the Rams defense has been playing all right. The team as a whole just is all over the place. It's hard to evaluate. I would expect, some names to probably be moved if they lose this game. But they're at home. If they win, they still have a chance. That division is not out of control yet, so there is a chance. But starting it off with Justin Jefferson 11-8, yeah, he is a top 12 receiver versus man and zone. Rams big in the zone coverage. We saw Justin Jefferson last week against Detroit, to where, for the most part, they didn't really need to use him. But 7 for 81 and a touchdown, 21 DraftKings points. If you had him in the lineup, like I did, it helped, but it didn't get it over the edge, right? So if you had him, you had Darnold, it wasn't bad, right? They did good for how the slate played out. But in this one, if you're paying 11-8, you really need him to pay off, because it is very hard to afford Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and a quarterback. So to put it in perspective, right, we did Jefferson, we did Kupp, now let's put Sam Darnold, the more expensive quarterback. That's a lot of salary on, and we still don't have a captain. So that's just off the flex. If you're captaining, you're spending over half your salary, right? That's 17 right there. And if you put someone like Cooper Kupp, right, you're 21,000. So doing it, you have to be very careful of who you're putting in. But Justin Jefferson against man and zone, the top 12 receiver, second on the team in red zone targets. So Justin Jefferson in a very likable spot. Cooper Kupp, the thing with Cooper Kupp in that I like, one, the Vikings are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. The Vikings, number one team in pressure. Like I said, they get a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers. Stafford really isn't a guy that he's going to get pass attempts, he's going to get yards. The touchdowns is where it becomes difficult. That's where someone like Kyron comes in and, finishes it up. But Cooper Kupp in this one, we could look at his 2 games, and he's got 27 targets in 2 games. Obviously, against Arizona kind of goes out, but 21 targets against Detroit, a game that mattered. This game matters too, right? You're getting a similar type of situation for the Rams, to where you're facing an NFC North team. Minnesota's defense is better than Detroit, even though Detroit ended up getting the win. I'd say as a whole, Minnesota's defense is better. So Stafford's going to have to get the ball out a lot. Cooper Kupp, his first down receptions is kind of crazy if you look at the rest of the Rams players. Stafford, not a good quarterback under pressure. He's actually a bottom quarterback under pressure. And that's one thing against the Vikings that you have to be good against, is pressure, right? So I believe Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp are going to get a lot of quick throws in this one. A lot of receptions for Cooper Kupp might not mean a lot of yards, but the Vikings are going to know that Cooper Kupp is going to be the first read on a lot of these plays, and they're going to try to make it difficult to get him the ball. But if Stafford gets a ball out quick, which we know he is more than capable of doing, especially to Cooper Kupp, The possibilities there are pretty good. So if you want to attack the Minnesota defense, that's kind of how you're going to do it. So Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, really good plays. Kyren Williams, like the Vikings have played running backs really, really well. But if you look at Kyren's fantasy points so far this season, he's a touchdown. He's going to get a touchdown, right? If the Rams are getting in the red zone, he's going to get the ball. He's going to get that touchdown. So that touchdown upside is always there for Kyren. I mean, 9 touchdowns so far this season. But if you take the touchdowns away, he's not really having a great season, right? You take it away week 1 against Detroit, he's got 8 points there. You take it away week 2 against Arizona, he's got 9 points there. Week 3, where he gets 3 touchdowns, that's 18 points gone, right? Week 4 against the Bears, you take it, 16. Last week against Vegas, he got 19 points. If you take away his 2 touchdowns, he gets 7. So Kyren Williams is very touchdown dependent, and he's very good in the red zone. So you have to play that risky, right? It's very risky to play Kyren Williams if you want to get exposure to Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson in this one. I prefer Aaron Jones against the Rams. The Rams are a bottom 12 team in yards before contact, which means running backs are getting 1.4 yards just without being touched on average against the Rams, and Aaron Jones is a big yards after contact guy, so that means he's getting a yard and a half free basically, and then rushing for another 3.5. That's kind of where Aaron Jones is right now. He leads a team in red zone targets and leads a team in red zone carries, so Aaron Jones is a big red zone guy, and it's very hard to afford Aaron Jones and both. If not, you can go say one of these guys, right? It's very hard to do that. If I'm taking a quarterback right now, I'm taking Sam Darnold. A lot of quarterbacks have had success against Minnesota Vikings defense, but that's just because of how fast and how hot Minnesota's offense is to scoring, right? We even saw it last week against Detroit. Minnesota got some points up on the board quick. Against the Jets it happened, against Green Bay it happened, against Houston it happened. We've seen it where they just start off hot, and then they kind of coast and hope their defense does what they have to do to hold on to the game. So if I'm taking a quarterback, I like Sam Darnold. Just Matt Stafford's numbers under pressure, the Vikings pressure rate. Obviously Cooper Kupp is back. That's a huge plus. But the numbers for Matt Stafford, right? We saw it week 1 against Detroit, 49 pass attempts, 317 yards, only 1 passing touchdown, and gets you 18 points, right? So I mentioned Kyren Williams is a huge touchdown guy. Stafford's got 3 passing touchdowns. Kyren's got 9 total touchdowns. So it's very hard to play Stafford in this one. Honestly, though, I will say this, because of how Stafford has played, his price point, it allows you, if you got off of Darnold and you wanted to do a Stafford Kupp stack, it's actually pretty good when you compare other quarterback and number 1 receivers, like true number 1 receivers. Stafford's price point on a Showdown site of 9K is very good. Jordan Addison, look, I like Jordan Addison in this one. If you want to get exposure to him, go ahead. I don't have a problem with it. You just kind of look at where Jordan Addison has been this season. And they really haven't had to use him, right? We've seen week 4 against Green Bay where he had a good game, right, fantasy point wise, but 6.5, 6.6, 9.6. He hasn't had to have been used that much, right? They go Justin Jefferson. Naylor's been playing good. Aaron Jones they rely upon. They get Chandler in there. Like, they're not needing to go both Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson yet. It's just not happening. So his price point's up there. I mean, you can look at Naylor, right, and look at some of the games he's had. He's gotten 3 games over 10 DraftKings points versus Addison only having 1. So with a price comparison, honestly, like, Naylor does seem like a better play. $800 cheaper for a guy that's had more upside so far this season, right? Jordan Addison's had a higher ceiling game, but his floor is very much lower, so I don't think you need to go either one here, honestly. I think paying up for 2, maybe 3 of these guys is very doable, and then we find some value, right? So the kickers on this one are interesting, right? We go and look at the Vikings kicker, and I mean, he's gotten 4 games where he's gotten 10 plus points. I mentioned how efficient the Vikings offense is, and that goes with their kicker as well, just getting down the field. Rams allowing I think the ninth most yards per drive. So even if the Vikings are getting stopped in the red zone, they still have that upside of kicking versus the Rams kicker. I'm not really interested in as much. 9 of 11 on this season. Kind of seen some of the games to where they're kicker type games. And he's just not getting the call there, right? Rams are a little more risky when it comes to some of these situations. So if I'm going a kicker, I'm going the Vikings kicker. I will say now, this is going to be interesting, and I'd highly advise watching the TJ Hawkinson news. If you could look, he hasn't been added. He hasn't been added to the 53-man roster yet. They haven't confirmed that he is out yet. This is going up on Wednesday, so it hasn't been confirmed out yet. So I'd watch the news for Hawkinson if he's added. There's still a good chance he's not, right? I think the way the Vikings are playing this season, they don't need to bring him back just yet, right? So they know how valuable he is to their offense. They don't need to rush him back. So if Hawkinson is a go, I think it's a good play. The price point obviously is kind of higher at 5,200. It's not a necessity play, but I do think it's a good play if he is in. If he's not, Mundt then becomes playable. The Vikings defense at 4,800 is definitely playable against Rams. You can see the numbers they've put up this season. 8 has been the floor for a defense. 8, right? You look at the turnovers, 11 interceptions and 3 fumbles, 24 sacks. This defense is just very, very aggressive. They're playing very good together, which is what you want out of a defense. And look, like Matt Stafford, he's not what he once was because the pieces around him aren't what they once were, but he's still going to pass the ball a lot. So the opportunity for the Vikings to get some takeaways is very, very possible in this slate. Colby Parkinson, 4,400. Winnington out, we already know that. Higbee going to remain out, it looks like. So Colby Parkinson at 4,400. Right, Cooper Kupp being back is kind of a good thing for Colby Parkinson. Cooper Kupp's going to get a lot of targets. We already know this. But the middle of the field is where Cooper Kupp is. And on the other side of the middle of the field is a tight end named Colby Parkinson, who, once we've seen some games where we thought it was really good. Obviously, week 5 is kind of that game a lot of people were hoping for out of Colby Parkinson. Week 1 against Detroit kind of paid off at his price point. Now, at 4,400, I think it's a really good price. I think it's a really good matchup against the Vikings, who are missing a linebacker, which I always love if a linebacker is out. That means the middle of the field is just a little bit weaker. So Colby Parkinson at his price point, I think, is a really good spot. Tutu Atwell as well. I know Cooper Kupp is going to get fed so many targets. I know. But that doesn't mean he's going to get all of the targets. We've seen Matt Stafford throw the ball 40-plus times many times. But you look at Tutu Atwell's numbers, and we kind of saw last year where injuries happened. Puka Nacua wasn't Puka Nacua yet, and Tutu Atwell got used. Look at what he's done so far this season, right? The last 4 weeks, he's gotten over 10 DraftKings points. He's priced at 4,200. A very, very good price for me, in my opinion. If you look at, this is what is hard to play on DraftKings sometimes is the pricing. Against Vegas, I'm pretty sure he was somewhere around 4,600 on a main slate, right? On a Showdown slate, he's cheaper than that. That is crazy to me. I'm assuming it's the Cooper Kupp, right? And at his price point, I think he's a great play on the slate. Going down, the only other people I'm kind of interested in looking at is Demarcus Robinson at 3K, right? Rams are going to throw the ball. I've said it many times in this video. They're going to throw the ball. Demarcus Robinson is kind of the deep ball threat on this team. Look, he's 3K. You need to find value somewhere if you're paying up at 2 or 3 of those spots. He's a guy at 3K that you could do that. Johnny Mundt's the other guy if TJ Hawkinson is out. Rams also missing a linebacker. Look, his numbers aren't great either, but at 2,800, a value play if he gets you 6 to 8 points, it's good, right? That's kind of what I want to get out of it. Other than that, maybe Cam Akers, right, in his first official game with the Vikings last week. They didn't need to use him. You had Ty Chandler in there. This one I would assume is his first full game. Obviously, he played with the Vikings last season, but getting him back into the Vikings offense, it's good for how the Vikings want to play. They want to use their running backs quite a bit. Aaron Jones or Ty Chandler would have to be out for Cam Akers to be really playable. But there is a situation he gets in the game. He just did not look good with the Texans. I'm just going to be honest with you. So I think the cheapest out of everyone I'm going here is probably Johnny Munden, Demarcus Robinson. Those are kind of the guys I'm looking at there. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Like I mentioned, our website is now live, so if you guys are interested in getting the Showdown and main slate plays, go check that out. Very, very cheap subscription package, and we'll see you guys in the next one.